And we have several other members of our legislative committee here tonight. We're pleased to bring you the candidates for Carroll Ward 2 Councilperson. We have Tom Tate and Misty Bass. Carroll Ward 4 Councilperson, Carolyn Seaman and Barbara Toohey. Carroll Councilperson at Large, Mike Curtis and Brandon Vanami. And for Mayor for City of Carroll, Eric Jensen. We're pleased to bring all these candidates to you and offer you the opportunity to hear from them what they would like to accomplish with their term for the City of Carroll. And all of them will be on the ballot on Tuesday, November 3rd. Our purpose is to help you get to know these candidates and allow them the opportunity to present their views on current issues and those others that are important to the citizens of Carroll. Our thanks to all of you as candidates for joining us tonight. They will introduce themselves briefly in opening statements. The forum is being broadcast live tonight on KCIM 1380 AM. Listeners at home can call in or text with questions to 712-790-3584.
All right, my name is John Ryan. I'll be the moderator for this evening, and just a couple of simple rules as we get into things here. We want to remind all the candidates they'll have a 2-minute opening statement, and the order, of course, has been predetermined. Carolyn Seaman will start the opening statements. Again, we're asking the candidates to include your background, what contribution you would like to make to the City of Carroll, and each candidate must treat each other civilly and with respect. No personal attacks will be allowed. The floor is open for questions, so if you have one, write one down on a postcard, and John, I believe, is somewhere. John Brocklesby is back of the room there. We'll bring them up to us, or you can phone them in, and Shannon will hand them to us here, and we'll try to get as many questions in as we possibly can. Again, the phone number is 790-3584. That's 712-790-3584. Let's begin with our Carroll Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum. We're going to start with our opening statements. They will be 1 minute long, or 2 minutes long, excuse me, and we'll begin with Carolyn Seaman. Carol.
Thank you, Carroll Chamber, for holding this event. My name is Carolyn Seaman. I'm married to Greg. We have 2 grown daughters and 5 grandchildren. I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Iowa, and a master's degree from Iowa State. For 25 years, I was a full-time faculty member at Des Moines Area Community College, and for 10 years, I have served as the 4th Ward City Council person. Prior to joining the council, I was on the city's Planning and Zoning Commission. I recently worked on the city's comprehensive and strategic plans. I also served 6 years on the St. Anthony Foundation Board, was on the Kemper School Board, served with Greg as a Kemper Ball chair couple, and was on the steering committee to raise money for the Swan Lake Conservation Center. As a city official, I will continue to listen, give the public a voice, show up prepared, and bring common sense to the council table. I will also continue to build on my pro-taxpayer record while focusing on economic development issues, especially keeping taxes low. 2 additional issues also must be addressed, though. First, we must grow our population to expand our tax base and meet employer needs. And second, we must remain one of Iowa's safest cities. Successful cities have leaders that look at the big picture and plan in a fiscally responsible manner for the long term. They also prioritize infrastructure and basic services needs, and then invest in amenities that will retain and attract residents. I have been and will continue to be that type of leader. Low taxes, quality infrastructure, and safe neighborhoods are key to economic development and are what Carroll's residents want. I will deliver. Thank you.
Now we'll hear the opening statement from Ward 4, also Barb Toohey.
Hello, my name is Barb Toohey, and I'm running for 4th Ward City Council seat. I bring a strong background in quality management, developing and maintaining large budgets, listening and negotiating for conflict resolution. I will ask for input from the citizens and my colleagues on the council, ask for consult from our tenured city staff, listen carefully to that input, and do my homework to make an informed contribution to discussion and voting. I want to work with our current employers in the area to keep them viable and assure they have a viable workforce. We need to maintain a safe and healthy environment for our citizens and our city staff. I will work to keep our parks, our streets, buildings, and services up to date and promote growth. Tim and I have been married for 41 years, and we have 2 grown children, Ryan and Shannon. I moved here with my parents, Rosemary and Leonard Bird, when I was in grade school, a long time ago. I'm a graduate of Kemper Catholic High School and have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and a Master's in Healthcare Administration. I practiced nursing for 40 years, and I'm currently the Director of Quality Management at St. Anthony Regional Hospital. Tim and I have been residents here a total of 27 years. Thank you.
All right, we'll move over to Ward 2, and we'll begin an opening statement there with Tom Tate.
All right. First of all, thanks to the Chamber of Commerce, Ryan and Shannon for putting this on, the members of the Legislative Committee for all your efforts. My name is Tom Tate. I've lived in this community about 9 years. I worked for Cargill until the end of this month, which we're changing to JBS at that time. Again, I've been there for 33 years, so I have a bachelor's degree in pre-veterinary medicine, animal science from Iowa State. My whole life I've volunteered in any community I've ever been in. My children are Nikki and Jeff Tate. Nikki is a 3rd generation at Iowa State, chemical engineering, and my son Jeffrey is a junior at the high school at Carroll. I've chosen to run, and as I said earlier, I've chosen to run for this because my mom and dad always volunteered in any place they've ever been. Dad was always a volunteer fire person. He served on church boards. My mom was big on the lifelines, the little buttons you put around your neck. She started a lot of those things in the early 80s. So from that, I learned to volunteer, and I want to pass that on to my children. The only way you do is to show them how you do it by doing it. So that's why I run. What I want to do the next 4 years is I'll continue to be transparent. I don't know any other way to be. Accountability is a big thing to me. I think that's a driving tool that I've always tried to do. Balancing the budget, making sure that it's there. I've been through 8 budget sessions. I know what that takes, and sometimes it's tough decisions, but we get through those. Safety's always been a concern of mine and will continue to be a concern, and what I'll drive home to keeping Carroll safe. I think it's important that our kids, our families have a place that's safe to be in. We were really fortunate in Carroll. In the communities I've lived in, I've been in communities where you can't allow your children to be out on their own, and this is a nest egg of a safety. Last thing I have is, if I'm doing anything here, is the cistern at the Carroll Cemetery. My mom passed away a year ago, so I know that when your parents pass on, it's a tough thing.
We have to get moving on.
Well, I understand. Just one last thing. It's a tough thing to do, and right now we have a garage that does it, so we're going to build a cistern and make something that will help the families in the critical time where Carroll can put their arms around them.
We really need to move on right now. We're going to get an opening statement from also Ward 2, Misty Vase.
Hi, my name is Misty Vase, and I'm a lifelong resident of Carroll County. I grew up in Coon Rapids, and I graduated from high school there. I went on to attend Iowa State University, where I earned my Bachelor's of Science degree in Accounting and Finance. I am currently holding the position of Controller at American Professional Quilting Systems here in Carroll. I work with complex finances every day. I work with budgets, I create budgets, I follow through with budgets. I understand the value of every dollar earned and the value of every dollar spent. I speak daily with my employees and my owners on the difference between spending and investing. I also have a very strong work ethic, While attending Iowa State University, I commuted back and forth for approximately 2 years. I held my job at American Home Shield, and I still had time for my family. A lot of hard work, a lot of energy, 2 great things that I'll bring to the City Council. I'm highly organized, and while my 2 older kids were in elementary school, I worked with the Parent School Cooperative, organizing a fundraiser from beginning to end, working with students, teachers, staff, all volunteer parents, just helping make that be a positive experience to give back to the school system. Cooperation, communication, all those things I will bring to the City Council. I also know that I can deal with people of all ages. I worked at the Thomas Rest Haven when I was in high school, all through my high school years in the kitchen. When I came to Carroll, I worked at the Carroll Health Center for a few years. I teach Sunday school at my church. I work with adults now, and I'm a mom. All in all, Carroll has been a great place to raise our children. I've been in town for 15 years. I'm married a Kemper grad, Mike Bass, who's a contractor in town. We have 3 daughters. Kyla's 15, Olivia's 10, and Fran is soon to be 4.
We'll move on to the at-large race now, and we'll hear first from Brandon Benami.
Hello, I'm Brandon Benami, and I'm running for the at-large City Council seat. I'm the manager of the Westside State Bank in Carroll, husband of the former Teresa Bating, and busy father of 4. I'm running for the City Council because I have a passion for Carroll's progress. I'm in awe of those who have served in community, civic, and volunteer positions in the past. They've built a great city. It's now time for people of my generation to step up to the plate. I'll make sure our views and expectations are heard. I want to lay the foundation for the next 30 to 40 years of Carroll's growth and prosperity. How? By first getting involved myself, and then promoting involvement, and by encouraging my generation and younger people to get involved in Carroll's progress. We need to pay attention to our infrastructure. We need to pay attention to our city services. And we need to pay attention to the city's steady growth, budget, and management. We need to make the necessary improvements, changes, and advances to keep up a good, safe, prosperous place to live. I want my kids and other kids to thrive here. I want them to be proud of this town. Proud enough to come back after their schooling is done. Proud enough to want to raise their families here. My generation has to start doing this, and I'm willing to lead the charge. I'm Brandon Benami, and I'd appreciate your vote for the at-large City Council seat November 3rd.
Also running for the at-large seat is Mike Curtis.
Good evening. I'm Mike Curtis, 43. I chose 17 years ago to move to Carroll. I'm married to Tina Curtis, who's currently employed at Pringer's. I have a son, Kate, who is a freshman here at Carroll High. I also have a daughter that's in 5th grade, Taya, that's at the middle school in Carroll. Prior to my life of coming here, I was a former banker and also on the city council in the city of Lenox, Iowa, where we dealt with some big project issues. So I have the experience from the city council from that. Currently, I'm employed at Crop Production Services. My work experience, working with people, projects, planning. We deal with a $170 million budget of 19 locations every year. So I think with my strategic planning, my current and past employment, I can be an asset to Carroll, and I would appreciate your support and votes as I run for the at-large. The reason being for the Ward 2 that I didn't run for, I live in Ward 2. Since there was already 2 candidates running for that, I went for the at-large because I feel that the city of Carroll deserves options at each level of the voting. Thanks for coming.
And now we'll hear from Dr. Eric Jensen, who's running unopposed for mayor.
Good evening. Excuse me. Thank you again for everybody for attending. My name is Eric Jensen. I'm currently a physician at the McFarland Clinic, podiatric surgeon. I've been living in Carroll now for the last 20 years with my wife Karen, who teaches at BMAC. I have 2 children, Soren and Arrington, both attend school here in Carroll.
I grew up here in town, graduated from high school in 1984. I went to Iowa State, graduated with a bachelor's degree, and then went on to medical school after that in Des Moines. Finished my medical degree in 1993. I was then in Loma Linda and did my surgical training at the University of Loma Linda. Position opened up here in Carroll, and I moved back into the community. The community itself I knew was a safe area. I knew I wanted to raise a family here at some point in time. I felt very comfortable here. About 4 years ago, then I ran for city council. I felt that at that point I could provide some leadership along with accountability and fiscal responsibility. I currently sit on the facilities committee for McFarland Clinic and oversee a lot of the buildings and facilities, grounds, both in Carroll, Ames, Jefferson, Iowa Falls, many of the other clinics. I was at the forefront of instituting a new clinic in Jefferson where we built a $1.5 million building, and getting the medical practice to stay in the city of Jefferson after their lease had been terminated. So we were able to continue with medical practice there. Thank you.
We do want to remind all of our candidates that there is a time limit, and Hubert, of course, you'll see him waving the red card if you have 15 seconds remaining in your answer, and the bell will tell you that your time has run out. So we do ask you to please follow the timing rules. We'll have a minute for answering the questions. And we're going to get to our question. We're going to move over to Ward 2 for our first question. We have seen the communities of Jefferson and Denison and many other western Iowa communities go forward with many projects to keep their city moving forward. Tell me, do you think, and we've seen Carroll, of course, vote down many things in the last few years. Tell me, do you think that Carroll can lay claim to the title of being a progressive community still? If not, explain why, and if so, explain why. And we're going to start with Misty Bass, who is out of Ward number 2.
I think it's still on. Yes, I think we can still call Carroll progressive and growing. I think we're going down the right path, continuing to grow our infrastructures so that we're able to bring in more people and we'll be able to bring in industries. I think our city services have done a fine job continuing to do that. Our fire department has done a marvelous job containing an outstanding rating, being able to allow industries to still come into Carroll. We still have a long way to go. I believe that Carroll is what it is today because of what our founding fathers laid down for us years ago, and we do have to continue to invest in the city, not just spend, but invest on the things that will last us a lifetime.
All right, we'll hear from Ward 2 Councilman Tom Tate.
I think we're an outstanding community, actually, and I think we're far above where Jefferson is. I've traveled throughout Iowa in my job, and I've been in many of the communities, and this is one of the best. We should be proud of that. Jefferson got their casino in, and that's probably looked at as a positive, along with their bypass, but there's $275,000 that are going to become available to different counties around the area that we need to go after. Trails for kids, things like that, I think, are things we can go for. The amenities we have in this town are good, and they can get better. We're fortunate to have great leaders in the community. We have outstanding businesses that are here that are providing great incomes for us. We have an outstanding infrastructure. We have a bond rating better than anybody out there, and we pay our debts off. So I think we're in better shape than anybody, and I think we're ready to continue to progress forward.
We'll hear now from one of the at-large council seats, and Mike Curtis.
I think the progression of Carroll can continue. I think the biggest thing is trying not to shelve things. Let's try to figure out a solution, what makes common sense to the people and the citizens of the town, and move forward so that we're not holding up economics or infrastructures or anything else based on certain opinions of the minorities, the less less group of voters that want to go one way or the other. But I think that Carroll's a great city. That's why we chose it, and it continues to move forward.
Now we'll hear from Brandon Vanami.
Yeah, I think definitely Carroll's a great place. I'm extremely proud to say that I grew up here and I came back here. I think as far as being progressive, I think we continue to be aggressive and progressive. I think there might be some issues that have come up lately that have kind of stalled, but I think other things have moved forward. I think the community looks great. I think anybody that drives through Carroll will definitely say that we're doing the necessary improvements, and I think they'll continue to be done. I think anything going forward, I think it's important to study any issues that come up, make sure that we learn everything about it, develop an opinion, and promote those things going forward. I think that's the biggest thing as far as progressiveness in the community, is that our elected officials and people that are behind things get out and promote it and get those things done and get them to advance the community.
And now from the mayoral candidate, Dr. Eric Jensen.
Carroll can continue to still be progressive. I don't think it is regressive at all. It's outstanding. In the other surrounding counties, Carroll is very envied. I do travel to Audubon and Jefferson. I used to go up to Lake City a lot. Those communities look to Carroll. They do send, a lot of those individuals come down here and shop. They enjoy the community. I can certainly go into I know a lot about Jefferson and what has happened over there, transpired. Carroll has been able to put itself in a position to keep itself stable. I think we can continue that with fiscal responsibility.
We'll now hear from the Ward 4 candidates, beginning with Barb Toohey.
Thank you. I do think that Carroll certainly is a progressive community. I do think that Carroll can be more progressive, and we do have a little ways to go. I believe when a proposal is brought forward and an issue is studied, the council needs to study, discuss, listen, and move that forward. Participating with the Carroll Area Development Corporation, city, county, and private sector, maintaining a friendly environment, keeping the tax levy down as low as possible, maintaining the infrastructures, and maintaining the strong and attractive central business district that we have currently, I think will keep Carroll moving.
And now from Carolyn Seaman.
Carroll is a regional hub for retail, commercial, industrial, education, and healthcare. And we should be very proud of that. That is not because of the city government. Governments provide the fertile soil in which we can grow, but private industry, profit, nonprofit, is how we create wealth. What we have done as a city to progress during my 10 years has been phenomenal, because we've had strong leadership on the council and we have worked effectively together. We have worked on a multitude of projects that take a lot of work, a lot of engineering, a lot of planning, a lot of give and take at the council table. Since the local option sales tax was passed in 2002, we have invested over $11 million in improvements for this city.
We'll move on now to the at-large candidates to answer the next question, and it's very simple. What do you feel is the biggest issue facing the council here in Carroll, and how can the council take immediate action on it? And we'll begin with Brandon Vanami.
I think the biggest issue with Carroll is just to continue to get involved. I think the individuals in this community, especially the younger individuals, I've heard statistics of recent elections, and the amount of youth that are involved in voting and doing those things is poor. It's not very good. I think that we need to really promote to those individuals and get those individuals to take ownership in our community. Understand that what has been done has has been done because people took ownership 20, 30 years ago and up until now and have gotten Carroll where it is. The only way it's going to be that way 20, 30, 40 years from now is for us to do that, for my generation to do that, and the people that come after me. It's important for them to step up and to take ownership of the community.
And now we'll hear from Mike Curtis.
I think one of the biggest things that we need to get solved and moved on is, I'll be the first one to say it's a library issue. I think dealing with it, finding what's necessary and what's nice, and keep Carroll moving in the right progression here with the other infrastructures and stuff like that. I guess my thing is that I'm willing to listen to what the people want, and your voice will be heard, and I will vote in that way.
And now the mayoral candidate, Eric Jensen.
One of the immediate issues, I guess, that I have a concern with is we are talking about today about getting involvement from the community. And I think to not allow the citizens to be able to vote on some of these bigger projects is denying the voice of the people. They need to be heard, and I think if we want their involvement, the community, the citizens, we need to listen and let them help make some of the decisions also.
All right, we'll move on and hear from Ward 2. Did we get everyone with that question? We started with that large. I believe we need to come down here to you guys. Have you answered that question? I lost track of my notes here. No, you haven't? Okay, let's begin with Carroll and Seaman.
I think a new issue is emerging in the community. And as I have been campaigning, and then over the last couple of years, I've been hearing comments about safety issues. And I obtained some statistics from Police Chief Burke, and what I have been hearing has been really disturbing to me. And then I had a discussion with him. We all talk about safety and economic development. And safety is a critical factor in economic development. We want people to move here. And what has been happening over the last 3 years, and the conversations have been increasing as I've been out throughout the city, is we are having an increase in certain types of crime, and the others are downward trending, but assaults are trending upward, and also disorderly conduct. And this is an issue we need to keep a finger on.
And now we'll hear from Barb Toohey.
I think probably one of the issues would be housing. We currently have shared money for a study which will come back with the findings of the survey, which many Carroll County residents have taken part in. The survey should identify those needs and assist the council in establishing those priorities. So I think we can work cohesively with the private sectors as well as the county to move forward in identifying what are those priorities. We need to be aware of the tax levy so that we can keep living in our town affordable to attract employees as well as new employers.
We'll move on to Ward 2 and we'll hear from Tom Tate.
Well, I think it's probably two things. I think there's the safety aspect, which we have to, as we grow, we have to grow the right way, develop the right way, bring in, attract the right people in, attract the people who want to work, and keep the community safe. So that's the first thing. The next is, as your council person, I've taken on a lot of the tough issues, and I'll take those votes on, but I think there are things out there that you should have a voice in, and the library definitely needs to improve. It's never been changed since the 1970s. So whatever that change is going to be, I believe, we put over $420,000 of taxes into that facility. It is a public facility, and you should have a voice in that.
Now we'll hear from Misty Bates.
I believe one of the number one issues is communication, Carroll. Amongst our ward, I think we can work harder within the town of Carroll to get closer. The only way we can do a better job is being able to know each other better one-on-one. So whether we're talking personally or we're talking business, while I'm well aware of the open meetings laws and how many people can get together and can't get together, I still think communication is a big gap. And there has been a lot of things going on in the city, and I would hope if elected, I can help to start to heal that process. I would love to heal the communication gap. I would love to be part of the communications with the county, with the surrounding communities. I don't think enough of that goes on. And even with the citizens, I would love to listen to all of you. I've talked with many of you. I plan to get out to many more of you and listen, do my research, and make decisions for Carroll.
We're going to move on to our next question now. We're going to start back here at Ward 4 with Barb Toohey, and the question very simply is, what issue is not getting addressed or not getting enough attention by the council or the public?
Repeat the question for me.
What issue do you feel is not getting enough attention or needs to be addressed by the council or the public?
I'm at a loss. I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Okay, we'll move on to Carroll and Seaman.
I would say that there's been a lot of attention over the last 10 years given to the library situation and the differing views of the citizens as well as all the stakeholders that are a part of the process. And I think what is being ignored at times by the council, by others, is the public. That is upsetting to me, that the public is not being acknowledged. Their viewpoints are not being acknowledged regarding the library project. And I think we need to start listening and paying attention to what the public has been saying for years, and their voices have been ignored. And I would hope we would never do that again on another big project. Thank you.
We'll hear now from Ward 2 candidates. We'll begin with Misty Bass.
Again, it comes back to me, communication. I have to go back to, I think what's not happening is it's communication. I think we have an inability of people that want to work hard together. People who want to go out to other communities and figure out what they're doing and what they're doing right and how are they doing it and how can we follow suit. So for me, it goes back to communication. How can we be better at this for the town of Carroll?
Now we'll hear from Tom Tate.
Thanks. Okay. I think we're starting to get some feedback, and I hope to hear from the survey very soon. But the housing, I'm glad that we're looking into this. We're going to find the right solutions. I think contractors are very interested in what it's going to say. I think the growth of our community is looking at what it's going to say. And I'm very excited to see what that survey is going to say so that we can move in the right direction, because everybody wants the community to grow. It's very important that we grow this community the right way. We bring in employable people, and that we bring in the right type of housing, that type of housing that continues to bring in people that want to work. I've lived in a town that had 15% unemployable people. My kids were not safe in that town. And we need to grow the right way and bring in the right industry, bring in the right type of people that continue to grow Carroll the way it is. I chose this community because of the people. When I went to different stores, the children that addressed me did it in cordial and professional ways, and we need to keep that growth.
Now we'll hear from the at-large candidates, and we can begin with Mike Curtis.
I think, as I've mentioned before, the library is probably the biggest opportunity or issue that needs to have some vamping up or looking into. I think the people should voice have their voice listened to by the city, by the council, and any other large projects like that need to go to the citizens for what their opinion and what their vote is. In my previous city council, that's one of the big projects we worked on there was a lagoon system that actually divided the town. So I have some experience in that, and I'd like to bring some experience to the issue.
And now Brandon Benami.
Yeah, I think a couple of the candidates have covered some of the issues that are getting addressed. I agree with Mike on the library. I think that we need to, it kind of seems like there's some contention and our sides kind of against each other on the issue. I think we really need to come together and get a solution there. There's a few other issues as far as a healthy community, the promotion of parks, trails, those type of things. I know those things are getting done. I think we need to continue to progress. The Blue Zone community concept, I think, is a huge thing that we need to continue to look into. And one of the other small issues, and I shouldn't say small issues, it's kind of a big issue, is the aging and expertise of the city staff. I mean, we have a lot of experience and expertise that will retire soon, and what we're going to do to kind of to follow up on that and to make sure that our community is continuing to be as good as it is.
And now Eric Jensen.
One of the things when I first started this about 4 years ago, getting on the city council, Carroll had made a lot of investments in a lot of things, and one of them was the rec center. We've also got a football stadium that I think is starting to be ignored. One of the things, although that is not a city-owned facility, it does affect the community and it does affect the tax base. So I think we have to be very cognizant about some of the other projects that we want to do. The baseball stadium was one thing that also I thought was not getting enough attention, and that so far is coming to fruition that is going to be revamped. And I think we can continue to do that along with the other athletic field and the rec center. Bring those up to date, refurbish those. And again, the library is one thing that I think we all need to start and continue to look at also. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to our next question. And again, it's the one question we're going to ask you about the library. After 10 years and 3 taxpayer-funded studies, there's still no progress towards a decision on the library. Do you feel the issue is dead for now and should be passed by? What is your plan if you are on the city council about the Carroll Public Library? We're going to begin with Ward 2, Tom Tate.
Thanks. Okay, in the vote the last vote we had was to lease the library. And that was to take the people out of the vote and just begin to put in a 23,000 square foot library. I voted no to that, but I said I'd vote yes if you make it an 8-year lease, which would have made it a public vote. They said no. So the issue there is I want you guys to have a say as to where the library is. We communicated very well as to what we wanted to do. I put together a committee, and the committee came forward with 4 types of projects that would be where the survey had said, which 80% said leave it where it is, and within that, either renovate it, leave it alone, or upgrade it. And there's 4 viable solutions within that we can follow with, up to a 16,000 square foot. And I think within there is an answer. But definitely the kids of this town are the ones that suffer from where it is right now. It needs to be brought from 1970 up to 2020.
Now we'll hear from Misty Bates.
Well, I don't have a specific plan for the library. What I do know is that this issue has seemed to split the community, and that's a really sad thing. I think we need to, again, communicate as a group. If I'm elected, I choose to be the healing process to this committee. I want to work hard to make Carroll strong again.
All right, we'll move on to the at-large city seats up for election, and we'll begin with Brandon Benami.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of contention in what's going on right now. It seems to be divided, 2 different sides kind of not necessarily competing against each other, but disagreeing on what should be done. The sad part is I think both sides are intelligent, both sides can come together to find a solution. I think we need to plan long-term and what that library is going to provide. What's the anticipation of what the technology is going to be, what's going to be in there, and what are they going to do for the community? What's it going to provide for the kids? and for the moms and the people that would use it. I think that it's important that we continue to look at it, but I know that it's been taken off the agenda now. I've heard through interaction with people that there's a few things that might possibly be on the table coming up soon that could possibly shift some things. So I guess until then, we'll just kind of continue down the path of hopefully getting something done.
And now Mike Curtis.
The standpoint I agree on with Brandon is the technology. So I believe that we need to invest smart money with our monies and with our funds, taxpayer monies, to make sure that the technology that we invest in the library issue, we don't find ourselves 5 years from now adding something else, or make sure fiber optics is all there, make sure all the top-notch 4Gs or 10Gs, whatever's out there. I believe that it's splitting the city as well, and again, I just think that the citizens should have a voice in the thing, and we should make the plan right and move on.
Now, Dr. Eric Jensen.
The library, I still believe that the citizens deserve to have their say in what goes on in the library and how it should be accomplished. We need a fiscally responsible, comprehensive plan. We did have some, as Tom had stated, we had several plans that were readily available, and that we were at least willing to look at and allow the citizens to vote on. I still think that we can go down that path and still end up with a successful library in the future.
I will move back over to Ward 4 and hear from Carroll and Seaman.
Some of the conversation when we're talking about we are a split community is not how I see it. And I've been on the council the 10 years all of this has been going on. And the citizens have participated in a record number of studies, scientifically valid studies. They have been consistent for 10 years. But their voices are being ignored. We proposed a $1.8 million project to be moved forward. Tom, Eric, and I, we had a split vote. The mayor refused to vote to send it to a vote of the citizens. It's their library, their money. They have paid for the surveys. They have participated in the surveys. They have been consistent. They want something done at the current site, a reasonable remodel, something for the kids.
And now we'll hear from Barb Toohey.
I do believe this has been a divisive issue for the city of Carroll for a number of years. We've enlisted and paid for multiple studies, as well as asking for input and direction from our library board, and not paying attention. It hasn't moved forward despite numerous plans that we've heard tonight. It might be a time to put the issue aside for a while and let it calm down, and then come back and revisit after feelings have calmed down in the community, or at least until we have or bring back an option that everybody can agree on.
All right, we're going to move on to our next question, and we'll move on to the at-large council seats, and we'll begin with Mike Curtis. And Mike, the question is, a lot of the questions we're getting in are saying there is a divide, at least that's the perception anyway from the public, that there is a divide on the council. How do you feel like it could be dealt with by either eliminating one council position or adding one to go to an odd number, 5 or 7? Are you in favor of a move like this?
From the standpoint of eliminating a position, I guess the council I served on before was only 5 seats, so I'm not sure that would really do much one way or the other. I just feel that the biggest part of the project would be to let the people vote on the big city projects. It's their money, it's their future too. So I feel it's let the public decide, let the citizens.
All right, now we'll hear from Brandon Benami.
Yeah, I think it can definitely be dealt with. I think one of the things is to go to an odd number of city council members. I think the numbers kind of speak for themselves. 97% of the cities in Iowa have an odd number of city council members. I just think it makes it more reasonable. Yeah, there might not have been a lot of issues in the past that have been deadlocked. There's been a couple, but it's just the point of moving forward and not having to deal with that issue. Do we go to 5 or do we go to 7? I don't know that answer. I don't know. I don't have enough statistics to tell if 5 is enough for a community of 10,000 or if 7 is that number. I just think it would just relieve of that ever coming to fruition, and that ever being a problem in any situations that occur with the city council.
All right, now Dr. Eric Jensen.
And we had a discussion about this the other night, and when I sat and thought about the last 4 years that I've been on there's only one contentious issue that we really only split on, and that was the library. We had 2 votes, both were 3-3. Had there been just 5 of us on there, our community probably could have ended up with a library lease. Would that be right for the community? I didn't think so, because that takes out the community involvement and the community vote. If anything, this is going to have to be a citizen-driven idea. It does not have to come from, nor should it come from, the government that's currently in place. If there is enough citizens that want that done, that want the petition, they can certainly come forward and do so.
All right, we'll move over to Ward 4 and we'll hear from Barb Toohey.
I would be in favor for an odd number of council people, council persons. I would be in favor probably in the town our size of going to a 7-member rather than a 5-member. If we did away with the wards, that of course would have to go to a vote in the city. But at this point in time, I certainly would be in favor for an odd number.
Carroll and Seaman.
Monday night at our council meeting, I asked the question, what is broken that needs to be fixed? I don't see that we are broken at all, and Eric summed it up well. There is only one issue that has divided the council. Otherwise, things move along 100%. Everything passed Monday night. I went to our budget book, and very quickly in our budget book, we have a bar graph that compares our levy to 17 other cities, our size. So I looked up those cities to see what type of government they had. And there are 18 altogether with Carroll included, and 13 of the 18 cities have the ward-at-large mix. It's the best of both worlds. Now, maybe we will go to a bigger number. I don't know. It is ultimately up to the citizens. Thank goodness they get to vote on something.
All right, now we'll hear from Misty Bass.
I think they've all said it. I agree 100% that we probably do need to go to an odd number. While I don't know all the pros and cons of switching governments, again, it will come down to a citizen vote because that is what it will take to switch what we have right now. There has been moments when things have been deadlocked, and if you have an odd number, it will just make it that much easier to get the decision moving forward. And that's really what we're shooting for here. Let's move ahead.
And now Tom Tate.
Thanks. Since the early 70s, this is the system you had in place. And I think Carroll's grown very well with what the system is. If the citizens feel they want an extra voice on the council, then they will step forward and a petition will be driven and they will make the vote. But we haven't broken anything to this point, and Carroll has grown extremely well. And I think that, as Doctor said, the communities I'm in around the surrounding areas, we are the envy of all those communities. We should be very proud of Carroll. The government we've had up to this point has worked very, very well. and we do work very well together. We don't agree all the time, but in the end, we've always worked it out and worked through it, and we found solutions. If you feel you want to change it, that is up to the citizens, and they should make that decision. It's not my job to try to give a bias to that. But I think to this point, I don't think anything's broken.
All right, we'll move on to our next question, and we'll begin with Ward 4 with Carroll Seaman. What ideas have you seen work in other communities that you would like to see done here in Carroll to make it more competitive at the regional or state level? What other ideas could you bring to the city of Carroll that could make it more competitive on the regional or state level that other cities have been doing? We need the microphone.
That is a hard one to answer because I think we pretty much set the standard in this area. Other communities try to emulate us. We have an outstanding police department, fire department, and I honestly, for a town our size, the only thing I can think of is maybe we could grow a little greener, and our new ordinance, the new zoning ordinance, which is including addressing both wind and solar, I think that is where we could really do something positive, progressive, and the people, I think, would really get behind it. Thank you.
And now we'll hear from Barb Toohey. The other question again is, what ideas have you seen work in other communities that you would like to see done here in Carroll to make it more competitive on a regional or state level, or just any ideas?
I think the Living Healthy Iowa, a number of communities have adapted or adopted that with the regional hospital that we have in our community, working hand in hand and together with our regional hospital, our clinics, our physicians. I think we could move in a very positive fashion and I agree with Carolyn, the greener that we can get, as well as the Living Healthy Iowa.
And we'll move over to Ward 2 now with Councilman Tom Tate.
Thanks. I would think one of the things in different communities I've been in and spent weekends in, they all have a festival of some kind, either once a year or many of them do it on a weekly basis. In Pella, they have in downtown Pella, they'll have all the vendors that distribute foods or different types of things that they do. They set up booths and they celebrate their area. And I think we have a great heritage in this town, and I think we have a great park right downtown with a great band shelter. I think a community band would be fantastic down there. Bringing music back to Carroll downtown or down into our park in Graham Park and more festivals that would celebrate our heritage and the community itself and bring in different people from around so they can see the great things that we do. And communities that have done that shine very well and are very well respected. That would be a great thing if we could do that.
And now Misty Bates.
Tom was just talking about the festival going on downtown, and I would have to say our Carroll Fest that's been going on for 2 to 3 years has been a great symbolic vision of that. While we can always make it bigger and better, one of the things that I know that the city is talking about from the strategic meeting is possibly getting someone in a position that can market the town of Carroll. Let's bring some of that stuff back. Yeah, for all ages, the young, the middle, the elders, for everybody. But one of the things that I did see in the paper this week was Manning receiving the money, the $75,000 for their daycare center to make that grow for the parents of that city. And I think that would be something that could be truly important for Carroll to work hard with our daycare center. Get that a little more affordable for some of our families, get more kids in there. 10-year-olds to me are not old enough to be at home, and yet our facilities won't take them. So we need to get on board with that and move forward.
We'll move over to the at-large race now and hear from Brandon Vanami.
Yeah, I think I talked about it a little bit earlier about the Blue Zone Initiative and just the concepts that it brings and being able to do that with the community. And I might have a little bias here, but having kids growing up playing football and stuff like that, but I really think the stadium, like Eric said, I know it's not a city issue, but I really think it's something that we need to continue forward on and at least look into to continue doing improvements there. We go to a game this weekend. Our 11-year-old has a football game in Norwalk, and they have a field turf stadium that's beautiful and it's great to play on. Go to communities like Harlan, Spirit Lake, they have the same thing. I know it's more than just saying that we want one done and we have to look into it, but I think just to continue to go through with that situation.
And now Mike Curtis.
In some of my daily travels, I travel up to 2.5 hours at a time during the day. And one thing I really like to tell people is that I'm from Carroll. And they always say that it's a great, clean community. And I just like to be proud of sitting on the seat and advancing that and keeping that going. And one of my history times in 1989, a little school of Lenox, Iowa qualified for the state baseball tournament. And our big deal was we were disappointed because we couldn't come to Carroll. We had to go to the other town called Marshalltown. So growing up, I've always seen this town being great, and I just want to make sure that our economics are our views and we continue it growing in the right direction.
And now Eric Jensen.
I think Mike kind of hit that just a little bit. What I was thinking about is we used to host the baseball playoffs here in Carroll, and we lost that. And I would like to see us, I think that maybe that's something that we could pursue again. We're going to have an outstanding baseball field when the project is all said and finished. Certainly a football field would certainly go a long way also. Bringing some of those activities back and hosting some of that stuff so that we can get people drawn into the community, looking at our community, maybe seeing if it's someplace that they want to live, even do commerce in this community.
Okay, we'll move on to our next question, and we're going to begin here with Misty Bass out of Ward 2. The question comes from the audience. This is verbatim off the card. What can you do to get the older generation to vote for anything? For example, the lazy river, the football field, or the library?
Well, for me, honestly, it's about the communication. I'm going to go back to that again. I've been knocking on a lot of doors. I've been talking to a lot of people, and it's about bridging the gap with the people. I'm not just running for Ward 2. I mean, I am, but I'm not. I'm all of Carroll, and I'm all about talking to all kinds of people. As you heard me say earlier, I relate well to all kinds of people. I want to talk to everybody, including the elders, and getting them on board with what's going on, trying to explain to them why it's so important to invest for not just my kids, my grandkids, but for your grandkids and your great-grandkids, and just to keep Carroll growing and being as successful as it can be. And that's it.
I will move on to Tom Tate.
Okay. Well, I think the generation we're speaking of does speak, and I think they have voted, and they have voted very positively for things that are brought to them that we work hard to do. The last school election that brought in increased money, they listened to all the views. It was very well put out there, and it had a very positive message, and they voted yes to it. The lazy river, we put it out there, and no committee was formed, and nothing was there to promote what it was. But when we did the pool, the outdoor pool we have, that was very well run. The campaign itself was well run by a lot of people who really got into it and pushed it, and everybody in the community got behind it. I think everybody wants their tax dollars well spent, and if we don't spend them right, then they're going to vote no to it, or if they're afraid of what it is, they're going to vote no. When we're going to promote, we're going to put something out, we need to promote it in a positive way, put all the views out there so they can make the right decision that's best for Carroll.
Now we'll move to the at-large candidates and hear from Mike Curtis.
I don't think it's really the elderly or the mature citizens of the town, but I think it's just showing the pros and cons and showing people that it's an investment into the city, making sure that it makes sense. Use your common sense on the thing, and just choosing what's right and what's wrong. So I'm not sure that it's any age level in particular. It's more of the show me the pros and cons, what I'm going to return on my investment, and take it from there.
Now Brandon Vanami.
Yeah, I agree. It's wider and more broad than that, but I think it's important for the council to develop the leadership role in the sense that they get everybody involved. They talk to the city officials on what needs to be done. You know, they learn everything they can. They study everything they can about what's going on or things that they want to do. Develop an